Hi, so today we have a sewing project. What we'd like to do today is make a face mask. I'm just going to walk you through all the steps in which you would finish off with a ready, comfortable face mask. To start off with, there's a whole bunch of fabrics I've picked up. So these are anything from offcuts to full yardage material. It's stuff that I had lying around, so I'm now going to put it into some purpose. It's also important to note that you have to choose the correct fabric to make this mask, to make them actually safe to use. So you want something that's breathable, however it needs to be a closely woven material but allowing you to sort of breathe comfortably. So today we're going to choose this. This here was actually a scarf or bandana piece. You probably can get at least 4 masks out of this, depending on how you cut it and depending on the style of the mask. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start off making a mask like this, which can give you coverage right up to here and all around the side of your face and underneath. We're going to start off with this pattern, and so what are the items that you need to actually make a good mask? You start off with a pattern. I have different patterns here for different sizes and different styles. You need a good pair of scissors, a pen or tailor's chalk. If you want to be very accurate, you could also have a square would help. And you need a soft aluminium wire to help you shape the nose bridge and kind of keep your mask pretty tight and closed, so pathogens don't sort of find its way through. And then your piece of fabric and piece of fusible lining. This lining here is actually ironed onto the fabric to just give it an additional layer of protection. It still allows you to breathe, but it certainly closes in the pores of your mask to a finer degree. So we're going to start cutting out the mask. So as I said, you could get up to 4 masks on this depending on the style. So what I'm going to do is just, if I was going to make all 4 the same, I'm just going to fold the fabric. Here's my pattern for this style of mask. Here's this kind of prototype that I've made already. And so what I'm going to do is place it here, and I can see it is pretty much the size of my pattern. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to just mark this here, and then I'm going to fold it and do the first cut. So we're going to start off making 2 masks out of this. So I'm going to give it another cut on this side. And the next is I'm going to cut up my fusible lining. So I'm going to use the cloth as a template. Actually, fusible lining. Now you notice I actually cut these individually, but I I have another idea which would actually save me my time when I'm doing the pleating like this. Is I'm going to use the big piece, fuse my, make sure you have an iron. This is important to have a nice steam iron, and I'm going to place the fuse lining on the fabric. So just make sure that the right side is under, and you're actually fusing it over the underside. I'm going to just turn this over now. So just notice it's two pieces. Once I iron it on, it'll all form into one piece. Okay, so this fabric is actually sticking up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just put a white cloth over it. Because of the print, the hot iron is actually getting sticky. So now I can just do this like this. I put a little bit of pressure to make sure that it sticks on. So now you see it's just one piece. The lining is fused to the back and it's all stuck. It's all stuck there nicely. So just going to trim the extra here. So now to get the pleats, to kind of get this pleats done, you can actually, take your pattern, just get your center point out of wood, and you could mark your starting point, and you could also mark these others if you feel comfortable or uncomfortable to get it straight, but I am probably going to just use my eye judgment and start doing this like so. Because this fabric is, the print is sticky, I'm ironing over. Once you get this done, it becomes a lot easier after that. In the second pleat now. So if you're doing this for the first time, I'd say use a pen that's washable when you're doing your second pleat, because then you'll have a guide. Okay, there you have your pleats. What I do is just tuck them on the side so the pleats stay together. So now I'm gonna get to the sewing machine. Okay, so we finished the pleating, you know, for the mask to actually fit nicely and comfortably around the mouth and the nose. So what I'm going to do to make it easy to work, I'm going to run a tack to keep the pleats together. That's one. I'm going to put one in the center because we know we're going to get 2 masks out of this. Here. So the next thing we're going to do is cut it into 2. So basically we got the main part done. So now it's basically finishing the edges, just folding it in and attaching the ties. So if you look at a finished mask, we got this part started. Now we're going to move on to making these ties. Opposed to ties, some might prefer to have elastic, so you could do it around your neck, your ears, but in this case, we're going to use the ties because I'm told by my daughter that the ties are much better. So I made these for my daughter's doctor's office. She's a medical practitioner. Their staff actually prefers the ties opposed to the one of the elastic. The elastic appears to irritate people's skin. So all I'm doing is taking a strip of fabric like this, folding it and just stitching it together to make a tie. One can be very creative. You could put different color ties, you know, you try to make it fancy if you want. Use different colored threads. I'm using an industrial machine, but you could use brother sewing machine, a Singer. Works equally as good. I can get 2 pieces for the top, so I'm going to do another one. Bottom. So we got our ties ready. I need 4 pieces, so here. So I have 4 pieces. To keep the mask fitting nicely over the nose, I have a piece of aluminum metal. You can get this from a craft store. So if you look at the mask, this is going to be the top, so that's going to go on the top. So all I'm going to do is place it in the center. Center is around there. I'm going to fold to make sure that it doesn't move I'm gonna just put it in. Just make sure your needle is not on it. Now I'm going to end top. The metal is here, so I'm just going to give it another stitch close so it doesn't move around. Just neaten these threads out. So aim the bottom. Notice I aimed that on the top, and now I'm going to do the sides. So I'm just going to neaten it up a little bit. Just going to fold this. So you got your first part of the mask made. So now we're going to put the ties. Attach the ties here. Notice the position is right on the top. To go, the last one. So here's your mask. So to finish the ties, you can just just put a knot at the end. Just loop it around like this, and so it just looks like this. Right, so if you want to see what the finished product could look like, try around here. You got your mask. So to recap, what we've done is we started off with a piece of fabric like this, used the fusible lining to back it up, we pleated it like this, the finished pleating ended up like this, right? So it can expand depending on the size of the person's face, and then we used a strip like this This is about 1.75 inches to 2 inches wide, and we just made a piping string out of this. And the finished product is, don't forget to put the metal on the top so you could have it nice and snug, and so you got a mask to go over. So the other thing to notice here is you can make different sizes. This is way bigger, it's bigger than this, which is usually a standard issue at work, but this actually gives medical practitioners a lot more safety by covering the whole face, much nicer. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and it shows how simple it is to actually make a mask from home.